Welcome back. We are on day 8 of activating your own hero's journey. So yesterday was a really crazy mad video. Today is a little bit more together. If you want to laugh, by all means, check it out. Hopefully you have checked out the previous 7 videos because this is part of a journey. Okay, and it starts with the full, which was 7 videos ago. Maybe they are below for you, I don't know, but they were definitely ago. So let me talk to you a little bit about what we're doing on this journey and why I'm doing it with you. Okay, my name is Tiffany and I help you get to know the tarot in a different way, how to live it rather than read it. When you live it, the cards actually come alive in your life and they show you things about yourself to take on board. Now, the thing is, sometimes that can be a little difficult. Sometimes it's the transformational truth of tarot. And sometimes we can get stuck in it. And this could well be one of those times from yesterday, although, you know, they all have their own challenges and trials and tribulations along the way. But with the Fool's Journey, we're doing the Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. I'm sure he got it from the tarot because the call to adventure is the Fool, the meeting the mentor is the Magician, crossing the threshold is the High Priestess, and then the rest after that is trials and failure, which is kind of where we are smack bang today with the Chariot. So, do you know your birth card? This is my birth card. So what does your birth date add up to? Mine is a 34, and so I add 3 and 4 together and it becomes a 7. Okay, that's how you know your birth card. It's your birth number. All right. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Chariot because I feel like it's very much been my life. It's my birth card, right? I have a Cancer moon, first off, and this card is Cancer, which may not be that obvious, but look at this hard shell. And all that emotion about needing to keep it together is very Cancerian. Now, when I was about 4, I started to have a reoccurring nightmare of being left in my mum's car and the car doors being locked and the car, just an invisible driver driving off. And it was so scary. And I had that reoccurring nightmare for about 3 or 4 years. And then they disappeared until I started trying to learn how to drive. I say trying because when I was 7, I tried to learn how to ride a bike. I am now 41 and I still do not know how to ride a bike. So when it came to learning to drive, there was a lot of money and a lot of time wasted until my instructor said to me in total desperation and frustration, ended with tether, "It's just like riding a bike." And I was like, "I don't know how to ride a bike." And he was like, "Oh, so there you go. Assumptions, not a good thing to do." So, yeah, then he started teaching me how to steer because I did not know how to steer. I didn't know how to balance. I didn't know how to steer. It was not something that was natural to me. I had to learn it. And I did pass. I passed on my 6th go, which was 2 years later. Okay. And this is very much like the Chariot as well. He has to go through 7 initiations. He has to go through 7 planes of existence. It's the Merkaba and the light body. So this is a very common kind of set of initiations, and he just has to keep going and keep going through. Just like a couple of my childhood friends contacted me the other day to say they wanted to come down to Bath, where I live, and see me for the day. And I'm at a really busy time because I've just launched my game, The Transformational Truth of Tarot. And every time you launch a new part of your business, it's almost as if you have a brand new business again. And there's always this sense of growing. There's always this sense of something new. I'm never not busy. I had a shop once, and after 3 years I started to earn some money. You know what it's like, you in a new business, you lose money for the first year, then you break even, and then you go into profit in the third. That was exactly what had happened. And then I decided to shut it, and everybody thought I was nuts and crazy because I just started making money, but I couldn't grow anymore. And there's this thing that is always propelling me forward, so I'm always on to the next thing and on to the next thing. So they contacted me, and they were from my childhood home, and they were just in this place of being quite secure still, whereas life kicked me out of that. When I was this age, this coming of age, it kicked me out quite strongly. And I went on a very different path. And I really wanted to see them, but I kind of had to say to them, okay, well, I'll meet you for dinner. Because when people come to Bath, they love to go to the thermal spa, and they love to go to the Roman baths. And I just can't keep doing that with people. So I was like, I'll meet you for dinner. And they were like, what? And what? I thought you didn't do anything. Because at home they think, oh, Tiffany has been on the TV, she's got books published, she's really successful, she's made it. And what they don't see is the inside of the Cancerian energy here, still having to drive it, still having to keep it together, not being able to take the hands off of the reins to keep everything going forward. They just don't see that. And so I said, well, if working 70 hours a week is doing nothing, then I do nothing. And she wrote back and said, what? Doing what? Again, completely different worlds. Yes. And I said, well, self-employment. So put it this way, Richard Branson says, you know, an entrepreneur will work 70 hours a week for themselves to avoid working 30 hours for someone else. And she was like, oh, okay, I get it. And unfortunately, they didn't come down, which made me very sad. But that was because they became ill. And yeah, so it was another reason. But it was just like this sense of like keeping things on track. And that can be a little challenging sometimes, and it can take a lot of determination and a lot of focus and a lot of application. To become a master in something takes the whole of who you are. So from yesterday when we did the Lovers to today, the Chariot, you could be feeling quite like you're in this place of trials and failure. It's a very ungrounded energy. Sometimes people on this journey, when they're on the Chariot, actually do feel sick, a bit like travel sickness or motion sickness. And it's quite ungrounding because we've gone from the Empress and the Emperor and the High Priest, which are really earthly grounded energies, up into the Lovers, which is where we start to get our own choice. You know, in the other ones, we don't really have our choice, we're dictated to. And then we get our own choice, our own free will in the Lovers. And it's like, oh my God, the whole world's opened up, but there's just no protection anymore. And it's really ungrounding. And then we go into the Chariot, which is this energy of being ungrounded and just having to go for it, like your life depends on it. And so it can be a little bit challenging. Now, if this happens to be that way for you, and it might not be, like yesterday on the Lovers Day, you will see or know if you've looked at the video, I had quite a hilarious day. It was quite funny. Whereas the group that I'm currently taking through, quite a lot of people were challenged by seeing where they weren't being loved, or communication and misunderstandings and things along those lines. So it could play out really well for you, or it could play out a little bit challenging for you. Either way, you're still winning. If it's a challenge, just remember the tarot is showing you something important about how you're making your life choices and how they need to change. So take that on board, take the message on board and move on, knowing that it does move on. It's like a clock, and tomorrow is a different day. Like tomorrow we are on strength. where we'll be going into growth and new skills. Okay, so get a Chariot card or picture of it that resonates with you, stick it on your phone, and remember to think throughout the day who, what, where, when, and this is showing up. How is the Chariot showing up in my life today? Am I being like the Chariot? How? Is somebody else being like the Chariot? How? What situations are activating this in my life? Where am I seeing him popping up? It's like living like Joan of Arcadia, the children's program, where she goes out into the world and meets God every day in a different form. The postman, the milkman, whatever. Yeah, this is what this journey is about, and this is how you find your inner hero. Remember to write it out as well, and you might not see things until you've done that. So don't think I've got nothing to write about. Think I've got nothing to write about, which is why I need to write, and then you'll see 1,000 thoughts that you knew you didn't have, that you thought you didn't have, appearing on the page, and you'll be able to look back and go, oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. And feel free to share them. And that will help everybody to see and understand the Chariot more in their own connection. And it will also help, if you don't see it, to post it, and I will help you, and others can help you too to see it. Okay, that's it from me today. And if you do want to join in for the live groups, there is the link down there. Just click it and you can come through and join us, because the journey is so much better when we're doing it all together.